Why don't you take them through a building and show them?
Right. The one that you are looking at is the ED building in front of the AGGIE building.
Yep.
We recently added to the campus. And then this project was done by Vaughn Construction, and then this model was also created by Vaughn. So they have a bit more information attached to each and every components. And then as you expect, you can walk around. And then the beauty of this is
gravity turned on, so he sunk down to the ground.
right. And then you can, but you can still fly. You can still fly, and then I can give you some interesting stuff. I can touch the down.
I think you were a bird in a previous life,
I
Julian.
climb up the staircase.
Yeah.
See? Oh my gosh! I fell down.
God.
Because it's an open tread stair.
Yeah.
Danger.
One thing that I guess I kind of like to show you is the properties. Since it has, each and everyone has the information which was coming from, in this case, Revit, you can pinpoint anything as you want.
Was that one made in SketchUp or
It's from Revit.
this one from it?
Yeah, so you can click anything and you can get all information. See, I took the click the glasses and it says that it's a glass. So apply the glass. And you can hit the lamp, and then you can get the ideas of which lamp that we're looking at. So very detailed level 3D model is the one that we use in construction, especially for pre-construction coordination meetings. Now, where we use the model, of the architecture, structure, and MEP, so that we make sure that there will not be any clashes between those objects before we start working on the construction job site. In usual cases, you will see lots of clashes between the components before you start construction.
Did you say the City Center 3, that model?
Yeah, usually people in construction may have to handle about 1,000 clashes, before they start working on it. So in 2 months of a framework, they work as hard as possible to detect those clashes as much as they can and remove them as much as they can, so that they are not going to handle those clash issues while the construction is going on the job site. So if you're talking about 10 clashes, you might be okay with that. But if you happen to be talking about 1,000 clashes, then you may want to take a look at the situation differently.
Well, there are clashes, and to us of equal importance is missed scope.
Oh yes.
Right.
Yes.
If the contractor misses scope,
Yes.
Ultimately it's going to cost someone money.
Exactly.
That's of great importance.
So this is the how detailed you can go as far as you want to do this for architectural buildings. Now, to answer your question, how detailed this system can handle, I'll open another model, which is a plant petrochemical plant, which was actually built somewhere in Mexico.
I would assume with this software you could get imagery that is more virtual, more realistic?
Yes.
Yes, you can actually layer the finishes onto the...
Depending on the performance of the hardware?
Depending on how you put the images on the surface. I mean, right now, this model doesn't have any images attached on the surface. But if you like to put some photo images attached to it, this application is capable of handling that. I'm not sure how fast, that thing is working with all the images attached to it, but it might be a pretty good trial.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time working on creating space and interesting places, but we spend even more time trying to sell it.
Okay, yeah,
right?
right.
This could be,
Aesthetic issue is always, kind of a thing.
this could be pretty effective.
Well, the thing I get with a lot of my students is they say this is simply a marketing tool, and I say no, it's not, because basically if you can actually simulate the space, it doesn't have to be perfectly photoreal, it just has to be enough to draw on the tacit knowledge that people have of place. You can actually simulate this, then you can put a target demographic in front of it, whether it's someone that you want, a tenant to lease it, or people that actually you think are going to shop there, and you can work out what element of the place is actually jarring. What is the bit that is basically triggering negative responses to it?
Yeah. What comes to mind with Campus Pointe is obviously, I think it's pretty well known that we're looking at developing a hotel there. Mm-hmm. The hotel theoretically, ideally, would have panoramic views of the university.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
Caulfield.
Yeah, the power
And
to
Caulfield.
and
Caulfield.
The attendance at Caulfield.
Johnny
That's-
football.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, and part of the planning is we've actually purposely lined up the large public space in the project with the bonfire memorial, and so they have a relationship to each other, and so there's all those view corridors.
You're trading on the traditions,
Yeah.
all the things that trigger the
Oh, I have a land bridge for you.
Oh,
Yeah, absolutely.
Brinsden Bridge.
To be able
No
to,
bridges.
That was
You've seen the one at
probably
Millennium
fine.
Park. It's like it's going to be much better than Millennium Park.
Yeah, with this awesome bridge that makes it look like.
Sorry,
it
Sean.
would be definitely Aggie land.
Yeah, cool.
but just kind of, to be able to go to the 12th floor of the hotel and, adjust the angle of the hotel to figure out what
Right.
kind of maximizes the panoramic
Right.
views of the university. It's kind of, it doesn't take full advantage of the software, obviously, but those are the types of things that I
Right.
think make a big
Well,
difference.
these are the things we'd love to talk to you about, because the model will be developed on the bite-sized chunky pieces, like the workable patios is a great example.
Right.
The specific issue of if I went to the 12th floor of the hotel and the floor sizes were such, what could I do there to actually capture the best return in terms of view that would relate to occupancy and
For
etc.
rotating.
Can you do weather modeling too? I mean, like City Center, we did a lot of sun, shade, wind modeling, and nobody really knows that. But when we did our tours around the country, it became pretty obvious that climate plays a huge role in if people will actually stay in a public space or not. So City Center ended up with a lot of water, a lot of green, giant trees, a hotel that shades the west sun. I mean, there's a lot that went into that nobody really understands. But
That's what we have done for the previous model of the campus.
yeah.
One of the design studios, the students are working on parts of that model, and we did the wind simulation for that.
Yeah.
And we are capable of using other softwares to get more accurate data
Yeah,
for
we played
climate.
with building heights and widths to create, could we create a Venturi
That's
effect
right.
going through there? And there's a few areas where I think we might have created more wind than we want.
Yeah.
But, it's a little tricky.
Wind's hard to model.
Yeah, and the solar kind of studies, we can do that too. I mean, like I emphasize that this research team we have here, they're adept at modeling with Revit and other tools. They're all, many of them are practicing architecture, have practiced architecture for years, or construction. I mean, Julian did nuclear power plants for a long time.
You couldn't have found something more complicated than a power plant?
And
He
they're
did.
also-
He teaches at Texas A&M.
That's right.
Yeah, that's more complicated than working in the nuclear power plant industry.
and they're also computer programmers.
Right.
So we teach them, software development. Julian students develop this, not computer science. Julian students, my students write studies for photovoltaics or the costs and area calculations. We're capable of writing those programs too. Now, we're painting you a vision.
Sure. Yeah.
We can't turn around and have all this done by next week.
Right.
But it's something that,
2 weeks?
that we want to work on.
April, or we're not out of here.
That's right.
I think
There is a deadline looming.
we will have something good by April.
Yeah.
So, but will it do do wind analysis and photovoltaics and water capture,
Right.
water retention and rainwater and construction schedule and a detailed cost estimate. No, it won't.
Yeah.
Well,
It'll
we did
it'll
talk
do
about-
the ones that we choose are most important.
Yeah. I mean,
Or maybe a very small piece of
Right.
the overall, because we could just drill down on just like one building or two buildings, something like that.
Yeah, and things like the roof, so I mean, you're right that we can max out the computers. Don't have enough computer power. On the other hand, we can build a special model just for looking at the view from the suites on the penthouse.
Right. Right.
And that one single model, it doesn't have to have the lobby and the elevators because we don't care.
Right.
But
What do you want
we
to
can
say?
use that to check all the sight lines, the shadow patterns, all of that, for those key kinds of areas. We can do models of the patios, or of the roof deck dining facility or something like that, and do those in a lot of detail. But trying to do the entire campus, entire university corridor, and entire new buildings, all with interiors and all with furniture, and no, computers can't do
Yeah.
that. So.
Yeah, we're not fighting on all fronts at the one time.
That's for designs. For contractors, we have another issue to talk about, which is constructability. Can we construct as we wish, and can we get the job done on time within the budget? So understanding the construction sequence is somewhat important. And then whenever you are working with the millions of line items for in a construction project, sometimes it's not easy for you to see all those sequence visually. So we depend on, again, a 3D model to do that. So I'll show you how this plant can be built from day one. From here, it can be built like this. And obviously you can stop your time right here, and then you can walk around it. And then try to talk, how do you want to, for example, use your mobile crane to put the pipe spools on top of that rack. So that's something that we can talk, while we are working on the pre-construction coordination meetings with the subs. So another issue, which might be a little bit different from design issues, planning issues, things
Sure.
like that. But I just like to show you, how far we can go with this, new emerging technology.
And this has
Still got to build
clear,
it at the end of the day.
there's clear value for management as well. I mean, in terms of facilities management of the thing going forward, gives you a clear indication of where all your plant and equipment is, where your passages are, precise definitions as to the size of the space if you want to reconfigure it. If you need to get additional plant and equipment in to replace it at a particular point in time, you know whether it's going to cost you an arm and a leg or whether it's not. So, I mean, it can be taken from the broader scale right down to the most detailed. And that's, our intention is to actually create a platform that will revolutionise how property development is conceptualised, designed, delivered, activated and managed.
Yeah, maintaining the facility is quite challenging to most owners. And then I happen to be the member of the Construction Owners Association of America, and we happened to have a meeting yesterday in Austin, and then one of the important subjects that we discussed was how do we want to use this 3D model to maintain the building for the next 50 years. Cost-wise, only 13% of the entire cost goes to planning, designing, constructing, and then handover. 87% of all the cost goes to maintaining the building. So owners have to pay attention to it, and then they like to pay some attention to how they want to use this information for maintaining their facilities. They're getting there, but they're still quite confused yet because they're not sure how they want to extract information, how they want to even provide information through the building information modeling, things like that. So I guess we have a lot of, at least something to work on for the next 10 years.